Hey everyone, and today I'm doing a review video of this Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation that supposedly lasts up to 24 hours, is mattifying and gives you a second skin effect. I've actually had this foundation for a while, but I've never opened it. It's still sealed. I sort of forgotten that I had it. I bought this when I was traveling in Europe. So I'm going to be applying this using my EcoTools stippling brush on one half of my face. So this is just a stippling brush from EcoTools. You can get these from all sorts of brands. So I'm just going to dot this all over my face. Or not all over, but you know, just a half of my face. Smells really nice. I actually love how this foundation looks on this half of my face applied with this brush. I was worried this brush was going to make it streaky and hard to apply, but it wasn't hard to apply whatsoever. It blended really nicely. So I think I'm actually going to do the other half of my face also with this brush, because I do really like how my foundation looks and I really want to give it a fair shot. And I know my beauty blender shears out foundations. I only applied one layer of this foundation with this brush and the coverage looks very impressive. It looks pretty full. The only place where I can see a few of my freckles is literally around here. Other than that, my forehead looks perfect, my nose, everything looks so nice. I do need some concealer underneath my eyes, but I would wear concealer underneath my eyes anyway, no matter what sort of foundation I would use, even my Revlon Color Stay. I'm just going to finish the other half of my face also with this brush. So this is my skin after just one layer of this foundation. I can honestly say I am so very much impressed with the coverage. I will just add a few drops of this to the spots that perhaps could do with a little bit more coverage. I might have just missed a few spots. So I want to see how this foundation builds up, but I don't need much at all. And also, this foundation doesn't seem to accentuate my pores, which is also a big deal for me. Especially dewy foundations tend to make my pores look more enlarged, and I hate that. So the fact that this foundation doesn't feel drying or anything, but it doesn't accentuate my pores, which is a big deal for me. So I'm just going to blend the rest of it. But that's just one layer. I definitely don't need to use concealer anywhere else, just underneath my eyes. I just love the finish of this. I don't feel like I need to set this foundation. I don't think I need to use powder, but it also doesn't feel drying. This feels very comfortable. I can barely feel like I'm wearing any foundation. Now I'm just going to apply some concealer underneath my eyes and then zoom you in so you can see my skin closer. I'm using the Collection Lasting Perfection Concealer in number 1 Fair and number 3 Warm Medium. Okay, now let me quickly zoom you in so you can see. So I'm going to do the rest of my makeup, blush, bronzer, highlighter, and then I will check in with you once I'm done with the rest of my face, and then go about my day and check back with you again in a few hours. So yeah, let me just put the rest of my makeup on. A quick update on the foundation. It did oxidize a bit, but I mean, which foundation doesn't? Honestly, you guys tell me, because in my experience, all the foundation oxidize. I, however, liked how everything applied on top of this foundation. I had no problems with my bronzer, blush or highlight. They all applied fine. They didn't apply patchy. I didn't have to set this foundation. I never usually set my foundation because my skin is so dry. So ultimately, I want to avoid using a powder. If you like using powders, then go for it. I decided not to set this foundation, and I'm very happy with how everything applied on top of it and how it's looking right now. I think it's not looking too matte. There's still definitely a bit of shine to it on my forehead, but it's not tacky. I can definitely feel my face, and I don't feel like this foundation transfers everywhere. So that's completely fine. I'm very curious to see how this is going to be looking like towards the end of the night. So I'm going to wait about 8 to 9 hours now and then check back in with you to see how this foundation is looking after all that time. But so far so good, very impressed with the coverage. I really like the finish of this as well. So as long as this lasts and this wears really nicely, this might be one of my new favorite foundations. We will see. I don't want to say anything just yet, but I am very impressed so far. Hi guys, so it's actually a lot later than I planned. It's currently almost 11:14 p.m. I had the busiest day, you guys, so I didn't get to do any check-in. However, I can tell you one thing, this foundation is freaking amazing. This foundation is incredible. It's been over 10 hours. Even my Revlon Catrice foundation, I don't think it lasts quite as long, or maybe it does, but that's literally my longest wearing foundation. But this foundation looks pretty much just as good as when I first applied it. It looks ever so slightly more dewy, but I think it's so hot in this room as well. I have my lights on, I have my radiator on. I always like to have a very warm room, so it is very hot in this room, and it is a little dewy, but it's not oily at all, not at all, and I didn't set it, so I think it's looking really nicely. I'm honestly so impressed. There are maybe a few minor patches. I have maybe a few little patches, but it's nothing you can see unless you proper look at me up close and you are very picky. Otherwise, this looks still perfect, pretty much just as perfect as when I first applied it. And I just love it. I just can't believe it wore so well. For 10 hours, this foundation is incredible. The only con I can think of is the bottle. I am not the biggest fan of this bottle just because it's glass and it's very heavy. I don't necessarily mind glass packaging so much. I guess it's a thick glass, so it's not likely to break very easily unless you smash it from up high. But it's very heavy, so it's not ideal for traveling, I don't think. Especially, I don't know why, this weighs like definitely double or triple. I would say triple than my other foundations. This bottle is very heavy, I guess because the glass is so thick. I also would prefer a pump over a dropper personally, because I think dropper can get a little messy. It's nothing too major. I don't think this packaging is bad, but that would be my only main issue, that this is a bit heavy. But other than that, I really love this foundation, and definitely the bottle is nothing that would stop me from buying this again, from using it. I love this color, number 30 Sun Beige. I would highly recommend this foundation, you guys. I don't know, I have nothing else to say. I'm very impressed. I think this is definitely approved by me, and I'm not surprised why so many people rave about this foundation. I think this is the best first impression foundation video that I've ever done, and I love my Sephora Wonderful Cushion foundation as well. However, I think I like this one more just because it has more coverage right away, and I can imagine this foundation will last me for ages. It's a 30ml bottle. I only needed one layer. But anyway, now I'm going to zoom in, show you this foundation up close. But yeah guys, that is the end for this video. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you didn't, please like it and subscribe to me if you're not already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!